Would you choose the Toyota CHR over a Corolla, Honda HR-V or Nissan Juke? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Now, if you don't know what the Toyota CHR is, let me let you know about this car. Dreams on Wheels Episode 6. The Toyota that refused to be boring. This Toyota CHR was recently brought in for a wash, and at first glance it looks just like another compact crossover. But this isn't just another Toyota. Back when this CHR was launched, Toyota was facing a challenge. For decades, they had built some of the most reliable cars on earth. Cars starting from the Corolla, the Camry, the Avensis, practical cars, dependable cars, cars your father would love to buy or bought already. But for younger buyers, they wanted something different. They wanted something bold, something exciting, something that has personality. So Toyota responded with the CHR, a crossover that looked more like a concept car than a traditional Toyota. As I prepare to watch this vehicle, I'm reminded that some cars aren't built to follow trends. They're actually built to stand out. Before we dive deep into the story behind this vehicle, the first task today is bringing it back a shine. So let's get to work. Starting with the exterior, I'll be using my pressure wash as always. And as I'm using my pressure wash, I'm also greasing off the tires so that I can pressure wash it out more at the same time to remove dirt, dust, and road grime before giving this Toyota the clean it deserves. Now, while we are walking, let's talk about what makes this CHR special. Toyota built the CHR to compete against vehicles like the Nissan Juke, the Honda HR-V, the Mazda CX-3 or -3, the Hyundai Kona, and the Subaru Crosstrek. If you know any of this car, you should know the reason why this Toyota was built, especially if you know the Honda HR-V. But Toyota wasn't trying to build the biggest crossover. They weren't trying to build the fastest crossover either. They were trying to build the one you will still turn around and admire after parking it. And honestly, it has the visuals. Looking at the sharp body lines, the hidden rear door handles. If it's your first time, you actually look for the door handles, but it's just up above there. The aggressive stance, the diamond-inspired styling. Even today, years after it is being launched, it still looks futuristic. And that's exactly what Toyota wanted. Under the bonnet sits a 2.0-liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder engine, which is producing around 144 horsepower and 188 Newton meters of torque. All this little power or sufficient power is delivered through Toyota's CVT-I-S automatic transmission. You Toyota fanboys should know of these CVTs from Toyota. On paper, those numbers don't sound particularly exciting. The sprint from 0 to 60 miles per hour takes about roughly 10 or 12 seconds, depending on the tires, the terrain you're on. But the CHR was never designed to win drag races. Its purpose was different, because underneath the stylish body sits something very important, and that is Toyota's TNGA platform. Toyota's TNGA platform. Yes, and it stands for Toyota's New Global Architecture. Don't get too confused. Think of it as the engineering foundation behind some of Toyota's best modern vehicles, like their newer Corolla, Camry, RAV4, the Prius, and of course this CHR now. Toyota's goal was simple: build vehicles that are stronger, safer, more comfortable, and much more enjoyable to drive. That is why the CHR surprises so many people, especially when you see it in first glance, or when you get into it, or when you get mesmerized by trying to open the rear door and you are trying to find the handle. You would expect it to drive like an ordinary Toyota. Then you hit the corner and the steering feels precise, smooth, the body remains composed, the chassis feels planted to the ground, the suspension inspires confidence. In simple terms, getting around the corner is a very nice drive. It doesn't feel so nice only on a straight line. Getting around the corners is also nice in this car. In fact, many automotive journalists have described the CHR as a sports car chassis trapped inside an economic powertrain. Do you understand? It has a sports car chassis, but the powertrain is just small. It's just like the car wants to do more, but Toyota is like, oh no, hold on, I'm going to suppress your power a little bit. Kind of like when Superman has kryptonite, or what is that gem that always reduces his power, something like that. You push hard on the accelerator and the CVT transmission lets the engine rev loudly while building up speed gradually. It's one of the most common complaints owners mention. In simple terms, it means that when you hit the gas pedal down, it's like it's trying to boost before it shoots out its power. Most people don't like it, but I think it was done on purpose. The chassis wants to have fun, but the engine just wants to save fuel. What a crazy thing Toyota did here. But that is also what makes this CHR such a great daily driver. And that reminds me of Ada. Ada has just received the biggest promotion of her career. 4 years, she drove a sensible sedan, which was reliable, practical, and forgettable. Now she wanted something different, not because she needed to impress anyone, but because she had spent years building confidence in herself. When she first saw the Toyota CHR, she stopped walking, because for the first time, the Toyota didn't just make sense. It made her feel something. It looked bold, confident, different. And that's exactly why so many young professionals fell in love with the CHR. Not because it's the fastest on the road, not because it's the biggest, but because it has personality. It has that, when I see this guy, I remember this person kind of a feel. Inside, the story continues. It has comfortable seats, it has modern technology, efficient fuel economy, Toyota's reliability, everything you need for everyday life. Of course, ownership isn't perfect, because the rear visibility can be challenging because of the thick rear pillars. The rear windows are relatively small. Passengers in the back sometimes describe the cabin as feeling enclosed, like you're being trapped, but in a comfortable way. And while Toyota's reliability remains one of its biggest strengths, proper CVT maintenance is important. You ignore the transmission servicing and repairs, and that can become very expensive for you. But compared to many rivals, the CHR remains one of the safest long-term ownership choices. And that is one reason Nigerians have embraced it. You get Toyota's reliability, Toyota's resale value, Toyota's parts availability, but you don't look like everyone else driving a Corolla. You can't like say you be one of these Uber or or Bolt or the other guys. As I'm watching this Toyota CHR today, I'm reminded of something. Success isn't always about becoming someone else. Sometimes success is simply becoming more of yourself. The world rewards people who fit in, but history remembers people who stands out. That's why the Toyota CHR represents a company willing to break its own rules, a driver willing to choose something different and prove that reliability and personality can exist in the same package. That is why I respect this Toyota CHR. Not because it's the fastest crossover, not because it's the most powerful, but because it proved that even Toyota could take a risk. And sometimes taking a risk changes everything. If you've gone through far to this video and you've enjoyed the episode of Dreams on Wheels, a like to the video, a subscribe to the channel, or a follow, turning on notifications so you don't miss the next transformation and the next story behind the machine will be nice for the channel and the algorithm. Now tell me in the comments, would you choose the Toyota CHR over a Corolla, a Honda HR-V, or a Nissan Juke? I would love to hear your thoughts. Until next time, keep dreaming, keep grinding, and remember, every car has a story. You just have to look closely enough to find it. Quincy Auto Wash, and I'll see you guys in the next one.